GM everyone, welcome to this week's session of Market Movers. I am Pedro, Senior Blockchain Analyst here at DappRadar, and today we will be discussing one of our favorite topics, blockchain games. Yes.
Whoop,
What
whoop.
are blockchain games? Yes. What are the biggest trends that happen in the gaming space during the first months of 2022? And of course, to talk about games, I want to welcome today's guest, Robert Hoendorn. How are you doing, Rob? How's the weather in Turkey?
Hi, Pedro. Oh, the weather is excellent. I'm sweaty armpits, warm, and it's great. It's great.
Good, good. Yeah, we're getting heat back. It looks like the cold days are away. So all good.
Well,
Perfect.
for us in the northern hemisphere, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that's very true. Yeah, that's very true. Cool. So just before we dive in, I want to remind everyone here that, as always, we'll be recording the session so you can listen to this or any of our previous shows on DappRadar's YouTube channel. Okay, so what happened in Q1? Of course, activity around most of the blockchain games was stable. Um, this was, of course, not the case for all game dApps, but the most important ones were able to retain their audience. However, biggest trends, the ones that affect the entire space, were very clear during Q1. And why don't we start with investments? Investments, the amount of capital invested in blockchain games and infrastructure since 2021 has surpassed 7 billion. Yeah, 7 billion with B, not M. And actually, looking at the numbers of 2022, we have surpassed 3 billion and we are close to 4. So just in 4 months, we have surpassed almost 50% of last year's, and we're on pace to basically tripled what we raised in last year. So I want to start asking you, Rob, what are the advantages of having so much capital to work around, and how does this benefit the future of the blockchain game space?
Like, first look at what blockchain gaming has been. Like in the past, blockchain gaming was nothing more than some blockchain developers trying to make something that was a bit like a video game. And now there's more capital in it that allows for more advanced development. Like creating a AAA video game costs maybe $100 million. It's an insane amount of money. So these investments help to nurture that. On top of that, like the way I look at all these investments, it's follow the money. There are people with big pockets believing in blockchain gaming. That's why they put those billions of dollars behind those projects. And like you said, it's not only games itself, but it's also infrastructure. Like what needs to change for gaming to become playable on the blockchain, right?
Yeah.
So like onboarding mechanisms, moving away from signing transactions all the time, all that stuff, make easier onboarding for user accounts, smoothless trading, etc., etc., etc. And that's it sounds super simple, but the fact that nobody has really nailed it yet also shows that it's actually super challenging.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I won't say like no. You have the Wax blockchain that has that allows you to make an account with a social media platform using your Facebook or Instagram account or something. Other blockchains don't rely on gas fees, but they use validators and a different type of validated reward system where users don't have to pay for transactions. Those are all steps in the right direction, but everything needs to come together. So like you need to have smooth onboarding, no waiting times, no transaction fees, etc. And that's a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. So, for example, what we are seeing is that like 60% of the investments go directly to game and metaverse platforms, which of course these games and metaverse platforms will use to enhance their current products, as you said, probably improving the customer experience. But also, I don't know, maybe they will invest in marketing, they will invest in their technical infrastructure, and so on. But it's also interesting that the guilds, gaming guilds, are also attracting some investments, which is positive from the social perspective. And also, well, of course, the infrastructure, which is going to be vital. We see, and we are going to talk this about later, the security issues that probably one of the most popular games experienced a couple of weeks ago, and the scaling solutions like Immutable X or Forte that are getting also a lot of attention, because these platforms, these networks are going to be crucial, because when true mass adoption hits, because right now we're measuring around 1.5 million daily players, blockchain players, really connecting, right? Blockchain activity, because uh, off-chain activity, players that only connect through the web and interact with the games can be more, well, are more, probably in the 4 or 5 million level. But the 1.5 million blockchain players, when we really hit mass adoption and we are talking about 90, 100 million, is going to be very important that the underlying infrastructure is in place. It's ready to scale and it's ready to be secure and basically protect the player, which is important to make the space also a safer place. And talking about scaling solutions, one that caught our attention is Immutable X. They got a 200 million investment last year. Of course, this is an Ethereum scaling solution and one that already has a couple of popular games running on Guilds of Guardians and Gods Unchained, two of the probably OG games, blockchain games. But they are ready to receive more games. What can you tell us about Immutable X and scaling solution, and how do they fit into the future of blockchain gaming?
No, I think if you look at the various alternative blockchains, let's call it that are available for gaming, I think Immutable X is in somewhat an original position. It's literally a layer 2 solution. It's the finality of all transactions are stored on Ethereum. It directly connects to Ethereum, so it taps into the security provided by the Ethereum blockchain. While let's say Polygon or Ronin, they are clearly side chains, and of course Polygon has a different story to it. There are different variations of Polygon, but ultimately it's a side chain. It's a separate chain. And Immutable X is really a layer 2 on top of Ethereum that taps into the security of Ethereum. That makes it very very secure from a for
For players out
for
there.
players when you want to use it. It's I use it myself for playing Gods Unchained.
Yep.
I've done a bit of Guild of Guardians beta testing last month. So
Okay.
it works, and it's growing in popularity. I mean, like you said, they have some interesting products coming up. There's Illuvium, that's the semi-open world RPG battle game made by the Warwick brothers. There's Ember Sword, which is an action MMORPG. And the trading activity is slowly, I'm not going to say going through the roof, but it's really catching on. With Gary V, the Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
So that's the investor entrepreneur behind VFriends and various other
Correct.
products. And he, before the VFriends series, I'm not sure if it was before, but last year he launched the Book of Games on Immutable. And right now it has like over 100 million lifetime trading volume on Immutable, and it's basically the top performing NFT collection. So what this shows is that there is interest in those layer 2 solutions like Immutable. There is an option to work with higher valuable assets, but because those layer 2 solutions, or in this case Immutable, has very low gas fees for users, non-existent. It's super fast. It's very user friendly. So that for example is a step into the right direction for bringing blockchain gaming towards the mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, what I really like about Immutable X is that they inherit the security of Ethereum, which is, of course, one of the most secure blockchains. It's not the fastest, it's not the cheapest, but probably is one of the most secure ones. So that's a big advantage for Immutable X.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So we are seeing already the impact that scaling solutions bring to blockchain games. Of course, last year, actually, it's going to be almost 1 year since Sky Mavis launched Ronin and complete the migration of all Axie assets into the Ronin sidechain. And we know the rest of the story. And right now, we're also seeing it on Polygon. The sidechain has become one of the, I would say, top 3 blockchain gaming ecosystems with Crazy Defense Heroes. You have Pegaxi, you have Phantom Galaxies, which in my opinion is a bit underrated, and a myriad of games that are coming. Of course, also you have the sandbox running in Polygon. So I think this is also an interesting trend of how scaling solutions and well, in this case, sidechains are scaling solutions are going to be vital to scaling games in our way to mass adoption. So definitely something to monitor. In DappRadar, we're tracking Polygon and Immutable X, so be sure to watch how the rankings move on those blockchains. Cool. So moving away, yeah. Sorry, Rob. Go.
I want to basically make a bridge towards our next topic. Like, with Polygon, it's where the Ethereum blockchain runs on mining rigs. People basically technically they can turn on their computer and start mining and participating in building the Ethereum network. Like Polygon and Ronin, they rely on validators. And for those who don't know, a validator is basically let's call it an organization or a person who runs a server or computer that is chosen to run that particular validator and help to build the network. And Polygon, I don't even know how many validators they have, but Polygon is now introducing different iterations of their blockchain, and the other week they even proposed the idea of a superchain, which I don't know how much different it will be, but it's supposed to be more connected and faster and more secure, etc. But right now, one of the biggest things is simply Polygon POS. So that's the proof of stake network. That's a standard validator network, and that's the version we are mostly talking about. But Polygon is actively building. They've had some issues over the past months. They've had some moments where validators were down or the network stopped, literally.
Yeah, it was congested. Yeah,
it was congested. So they've had some issues, and they keep building and improving their network. And unfortunately, we saw last month what a network that's not that has not been fully decentralized or fully developed yet.
Both, I would say.
Yeah, like what can happen when your sidechain or your network doesn't have the proper security in place. Like we praised immutability. We said it's not as you said, it's not the cheapest, but it's secure.
Exactly.
Then looking at Ronin, it has built a bridge, so you can move assets from the Ethereum blockchain to Ronin. Now, great. And then on Ronin, it exists on its own ecosystem. It's its own island, which in this case was run by 9 validators.
7? 9 validators. 9 validators. Yeah.
Yeah. So there were 9 validators and 9 computers running the Ronin network.
Which is insane. If you think about like they receive million players daily, 2 million daily players, and they rely only on 9 computers. Like that's, I mean, you see the risk there.
Yeah. So they actually published a very interesting post-mortem article. I don't know if you've read it, but it's.
I read it a couple of hours ago, but yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So what happened is somebody in the Sky Mavis team got his social channels compromised. With that, the hacker gained access to some servers, IT infrastructure, and apparently that he also through the infrastructure he gained access to the validator nodes. So he got 4 out of 9, and
Exactly.
and the 5th one, and I thought that was like hilarious, because back in December, Sky Mavis allowed the Axie DAO to sign various transactions, but they never moved them from the allow list. So ultimately, because they were not secure enough, because they were like, okay, it's done. The hacker got access to the fifth key, and that's when he got the majority of the validators, and therefore they could do whatever they wanted. So
yeah, exactly. Just for the audience to understand, like they have 9 validators, but you need 5 signatures. The signatures from 5 different validators, because that's the majority. Exactly. To approve transactions, to withdraw basically assets from Ronin back to Ethereum.
Yeah. So now the good news. They will increase the validators. So right now it's 11. In the next 3 months they will make it to 21, and the long-term goal is having more than 100 validators.
And the other mistake that Sky Mavis did, like the four signatures that you mentioned at the beginning, they were held in the same place. Like the hacker got access to files, and he struck gold because 4 signatures were found in the same place. Like this is a centralization mistake, like a theory of decentralization. You won't pass it.
No, exactly. So that's like we often look at Sky Mavis, Ronin, and Axie Infinity as like the pinnacle of play to earn gaming, and they are doing an awesome job, and they have meant so much for this ecosystem. But truth being told, this was kind of a rookie mistake.
Definitely. Definitely, yeah.
No, also if you look at that they didn't have a system set up to see large transactions in and out of their ecosystem. They didn't have anything like that. So
yeah, and you also see that there were some gaps because the bridge was compromised, I think, March 23, and they announced it 5 days later. So they just realized 5 days later that the funds were gone. So also, like, their monitoring systems were not the best, I presume, because
there were none.
I mean, exactly. there were a lot of issues, like as you said, like we believe, I believe that the team will come back because they were doing a fantastic job and they have a really good plan ahead. I think they will be back, but yeah, this was harsh and this was a rookie mistake, as you call it. Like I would not agree more with that.
It's ultimately, like, again, like I said earlier in this AMA or AMA in this podcast, follow the money. Like, the fact that investors stand by them, shows that there's lots of trust in their capabilities. Like,
Correct.
Binance, Animoca Brands, and various other investors have chipped in. I don't know how much it was.
150 million.
$150 million. That doesn't cover the total extent of the hack, but it shows that
It shows.
that there's trust.
Correct.
And ultimately, like, trust is just important. And yeah, I mean, as for us as consumers, like, okay, do we need to trust Ronin / Kai Mavis right now? Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that's a question you need to ask yourself with every single project. It's a super risky thing, and the more public the people, the founders are, and the more public they are. Yeah,
The more transparent they communicate,
yes.
the more transparent they yeah, I mean, even how you can see how they hold their community halls, how they are quick of updating technical issues and all that stuff. I think that's the idea you want to transmit. How transparent and how effective the communication with their community is, and yeah, how good they are at solving their problems.
Yeah, and don't forget, like, they've been building for 3-4 years already.
Yeah.
Like, this is not your standard 3-month rug pull, right?
Correct.
I mean, this is a serious project with serious funding, and there's a whole lot of trust behind it. Make the comparison with us at DappRadar. We have also been building for 4 years as a company. So
Correct.
there's a culture, there's a reputation, and yes, a reputation gets a dent, but doesn't go away over a hack.
In the sorry, go.
No, in the same way that, no, like, if a banking institution gets cyber hacked and loses money or whatever, it also doesn't cease to exist. It goes on. And no, projects that have a reputation, that have funding, and have years of building culture behind them, they will be able to go on.
Yeah, what also stands out to me, and I think you mentioned it, is the kind of the supporters like Binance, of course, but Animoca Brands. Animoca Brands has become one of the biggest Web3 names to follow. Animoca is a venture capital type of organization that is based on Hong Kong, and actually has invested over 1 billion in blockchain game projects since the start of last year. They have invested in over 200 games, and of course, infrastructure projects. So they pretty sure know what's going around the industry. And in the other way, they have received 650 million in investments, and they are valued at 5 billion. So, as you said, these companies, these huge companies that they're already positioned within their community, they're positioning within the space, they're not going to risk their reputation so easily. So when these names backed projects, you know that okay, these might get something going on. So those are the things when you are doing your own research that you can start also thinking about learning and yeah, looking.
No,
What do you think?
absolutely. And Animoca Brands is a super interesting company. Like, a couple of years ago, before blockchain gaming, they already existed. They made mobile games. They had various mobile games on the market, including Crazy Kings, which is the predecessor of Crazy Defense Heroes. And they had some other mobile games, but they were mobile only, and they were listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. I think it was Australian. Was it Southeast Asia? I don't know. But they were listed on the stock exchange, and like 2 years ago, they basically flipped a switch. They got themselves delisted from the stock exchange, and went full degen into the blockchain space. So
we love it.
But it's honestly, it's a super interesting company. If you ever get a chance to listen to podcasts with Yatsui, and please do. He's the CEO, chairman of NMOK, and he's a very good talker and a bright mind on blockchain gaming and NFTs and where things are going. So it's again interesting company and just as interesting chairman.
Yeah, he's true. He's truly a pioneer, and yeah, he talks great. And going back to investments, before asking our audience if they got any questions, one trend that also caught my eye is, and we were seeing it during January and Feb too. Microsoft acquired Activision in what was the largest tech company acquisition in history. I think it was 69 billion, just insane. Sony acquired Bungie, developers of Halo and Destiny, and then Take-Two acquired Zynga. So also these big tech companies and entertainment companies in the traditional industry are preparing their arm race towards the metaverse, but also to games. Why? Because games are going to be a fundamental part, I could say, one of the pillars of the metaverse. So that's also something very interesting and encouraging at the same time for the blockchain gaming space.
Yes, and I find it somewhat surprising that like if we talk about gaming companies that really express their interest in blockchain gaming, for example through investments. We need to mention Square Enix,
and Ubisoft,
Ubisoft, of course, Bandai Namco, Sega to an extent, Atari, of course. But those are not the companies that are being bought. Like the game, so those gaming giants, so the Sony and the Microsoft, they buy they buy brands. They buy
gaming studios, let's say.
Yeah, and personally, to me, I would like if I follow quite some game developers from my time in the games industry, and there's so much negativity around NFTs and blockchain gaming. If Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard to start a war in the metaverse and become the biggest blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I think it's. Some people would say that you first need to invest in the culture of the metaverse, and for that reason, like I see a lot more in the type of things that are happening, for example, with Nike and Artifact, versus Microsoft and Activision Blizzard. Because to me, that's very personal, but to me, you need to understand the culture, and you need to have people who believe in what you're trying to build with metaverse or products in the metaverse. And the moment you're one tech behemoth buying a gaming behemoth, then and that's your ammunition for the metaverse, then I'm skeptical. Even though they put billions and billions of dollars behind it. Like
Totally get
I
your
would
point.
I would much rather see. I'm not going to say rather, because I prefer metaverse or Web3 projects to stay independent as long as possible. But let's say Microsoft buys the sandbox, then I would be like, okay, that's a smart move, because then you buy a Web3 company with culture, with understanding of this space, etc. But Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard. So I don't know. Like to me it feels maybe a little bit like as if they're missing the boat.
Yeah, no, I mean, of course, that's totally off the radar, but not pun intended. But my point was the interest, even from the traditional giants, let's call it. It's shaping out to be metaverse and games. So the potential of blockchain games, of course, is basically following that trend. And actually, I went into a Twitter space yesterday. It was one of the best ones that I've listened to. It was between the Metaverse, this project called Metaverse, that they are on Instagram and Twitter, um, and the World Wide Web, the hacker.eth, and the World Wide Web co-founder, the other one that I forgot his name. And yeah, I mean, they were stating that probably the most underrated and but at the same time the most important part of blockchain game and the metaverse and so on is community. The community factor is so at sometimes so underrated that it's definitely worth mentioning and having it around the conversation again and again, because we take for granted our community, but it is it is what is going to sustain the projects in the end. And we have seen it. Web3 is about community. We see what happened in Ukraine, how Web3 community came together, gathered 60 million to donate to Ukraine. And I mean, community is Web3. So I see where you were going.
Indeed, I mean, culture, community, it's all in the same line. It's and that's is a foundation aside from the tech. But
Yep.
without the community, then the tech doesn't make sense. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I in the end, I cannot use a scaling solution that can receive millions if I don't have a community that will use it. So it's useless. Um, cool, cool. So let's stop here and see if there is any question from the audience. Anything, guys? Please feel free to ask. Take opportunity that Rob is here and answering your questions.
Yeah, throw anything gaming at me. Like if you have a favorite blockchain game, or you're looking into something, or looking into certain metaverse lands, let me know. Ask something about it. Happy to share my thoughts.
In the meantime, and I saved probably this question for this moment. You were talking about validators, and we talked about how Polygon running and all these sidechain work based on validators. What about Gala Games? Gala Games is one of the ecosystem that is shaping also to be a leading ecosystem of games. Already Spider Tanks and Townstar, interesting ones. But man, I really looking forward for Mirandus. What about Gala Games?
Before I jump into Gala Games, let's give the mic to Big Baldy.
Yep.
He's waiting to speak.
Cool.
I sent you there he is. Hi, Big Baldy. What's up?
How's it going?
All fine, man. All fine.
Forgot my question. I'm gonna have to come back.
Nice to have you back, man. Good.
I still haven't had my coffee, so I forgot my question.
All right. All right.
I'll come back.
All right. Okay, so Gala Games and their network, yeah, they're building something super interesting. So for those who are not in the know, like Gala Games, back in 2020, they had one game called Townstar. It's a farming simulator with a competitive element. So there's a weekly tournament. You need to gather as much points as possible, and based on those points, you get paid in Gala tokens. And I think only like the top 200, I don't know, like the top players get paid. Along the way, they introduced more games to the ecosystem, and Gala became the main currency to buy NFTs for those games. So right now they have Miranda's, this upcoming MMORPG. They have Superior, which is a third-person action game. I will now be sneaky and simply open the Gala Games website just to sneak around. Of course, they're now testing Spider Tanks, a battle arena multiplayer game.
That one is fun.
Aimed at esports. Yeah, that one is super fun. Oh yeah, they have The Walking Dead, MMO, survival MMO around The Walking Dead. They have a card game coming up. Of course they have. If you're into gaming, like Peter Molyneux, he is the lead designer behind Fable and Black and White. He's making a game called Legacy, and they also have Will Wright. He is the brain behind The Sims and SimCity, and he's working on Voxverse. That's their NFT virtual world / metaverse. So they got a whole bunch of products coming up. All the NFTs you need to buy using Gala, but right now, like, everything exists on Ethereum. So there's gas fees involved, etc., etc. Many of the games aren't live yet. Spider Tanks is in alpha or beta, it's in beta testing right now. Townstar is live, and that's it, literally. At the moment, nothing. Oh, there's a test going on with a match 3 puzzle game, and that's actually the reason why you brought this up. Because this match 3 puzzle game runs on Gala chain. So Gala Games has been selling nodes. And a node is basically a network node or a validator or whatever you want to call it. And those nodes are run by players. Like, I personally own
like you.
I own one node. There are people who have 20 nodes. And there are many more. So those nodes, they make up a network. But right now, it's not a blockchain yet. But it will become a blockchain. Like some call it Gala chain. Internally, they call it Project Geary. And it will become a custom network run by players that can process and store gaming NFTs, gaming currencies, and make everything smooth, gas-free, and run by the players. So it's a very interesting project. It's still very early for Gala Chain or Project Geary, but it's I'm honestly happy to be part of it because I find it super interesting to see the steps that they are making.
Yeah, it's a truly decentralized network of games, which is very nice. And the passive income, of course, of validating transactions in the Gala, it's also nice. And not financial advice, but some of the NFTs of Gala games are quite undervalued. But let's go to Baldi. What up, man?
Good morning, professors.
How are you doing?
So you said something, you said to ask about a specific game. And then previously in a different AMA, you had talked about people helping out to check on dApps and games to see how legit they were. Okay, so one of the games that I'm interested in, it's way pre-development, is called Pinup Warlords. How would I go about making sure that's legit?
No, that's a good question. Is it live already?
No.
Okay. So you're literally in the most risk, in the biggest high risk phase of investing. Well, I guess first and foremost, have companies invested in that project? Is there backing from let's say, Animoca brands or other venture capitalists? If there is,
as far as I know, it's a garage thing, but I really don't know how to go about looking deeper, and that's really what the question is.
What's the name of the project? Sorry.
Up Warlords.
Game. Battle Royale game.
I just love the art, and the community's pretty vibrant as well here on Discord.
I mean, what we normally do when we are researching for example, NFT projects, we look up at some factors, and I think you have been part of some AMS where we discuss this. One is, of course, making sure that the docs, the most docs the team is better. Like, if the team is well known, at least have one or two names that are migrating from traditional industry to Web3. That's the ideal scenario. And you know the drill. Like, of course, like, how active is their Discord community? How active are they on Twitter? Are they can you identify that they are paying for influencers to shield their project? Because this is a big red flag, of course. I mean, and the roadmap and their tokenomics can be really good and really enticing, but these small things can make the difference. And from what I'm seeing, I see the team is fully doxed, which is a great start. As Rob said, if Animoca Brands or Pantera Capital or Hashed or one of these Andersen Horowitz, one of these VCs have already made their investment, that's also a big green flag. But I mean, it's risky, as Rob said, like riskiest stage of all right now.
I also have to say, like, the moment I haven't checked their Twitter feed yet, but the moment the Twitter feed is not about sharing news, but really about shilling. Like, the sale is coming, get your money ready. To me personally, and that's a very personal thing, I get a bit skeptical. Like, I understand promotion, but I rather see promotion by sharing news than only pushing the sale date. And so, yeah, that's I guess a very general remark that not necessarily applies maybe to Pinup World, but just in Pinup Warlords, but just in general. Like, if it's only about if the messaging is only about the sale and the NFTs and having a good discount or being early, then those are not red flags, but let's say they are orange.
Many of their posts throughout that I've seen have been not shilling and just showing new developments in the game.
No, then that's potentially a positive thing, right?
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Yeah, but to be very honest, like, I wouldn't commit at this stage. I wouldn't risk too much, to be very, very fair, unless, as I see, a Animoca, a Andersen, I don't know, maybe a collaboration with an important I don't know, like Immutable or something like that, that can bring the attention. But please be careful.
Great, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, I think we're also going to see indie games, a lot of indie games over the next few months. One that I was discussing in the morning, Warcry, interesting one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I think also Cypher I find super fascinating, and there are various others. Like, I'm a bit mesmerized by Cradles. Like, Cradles is I don't know I don't even know if it's an MMO, but they have this NFT, and it's called ERC. Hold on, let me look it up, just so that I don't make ERC 3664.
That's a new
And
standard.
That's a new standard, exactly. It's a new token standard, but that's a token standard that allows its metadata to change over time. So what can happen is if you if you have a character and it has, for example, hydration, and if it doesn't drink water for 10 days, measured through blockchain transactions. So let's say, based on the amount of blocks in the blockchain, they can establish, okay, this is a day. So if your character doesn't drink for 3 days, then he will die. So and that's to me that's super interesting.
Super interesting.
Because that makes it almost like it's and it sounds stupid, but like it's a normal video game, right?
Yeah.
So as if you're playing The Sims, or in this case, it's about worlds. So you need to, as a community, you need to keep those worlds in cradles. You need to keep it alive. You need to keep it in order. If you fail, then it falls into chaos. And when it falls into chaos, now there will be volcanoes, earthquakes, the world dies, and
not fun. But the metadata changes, or
yes.
Okay.
Now the metadata, of course, determines the status of your item, right? So your character, the status of your character is determined by its metadata. So
Okay.
if metadata says your character is 30 years old, then after a while he will become 31, 32, 33. Like, he can age. So you have those games like they are like 4X strategy games, and you can play a family in medieval Europe, and you need to conquer the world. What is it called? Paradox Interactive made it.
I have no idea, to be honest.
No, hold on. No, I will find Crusader Kings. Yes, that's it. So there's a game series called Crusader Kings, in which you don't control one character, you control a dynasty, a family. And so this particular ERC token standard would be very suitable for those types of games, because you have an NFT, a character, a king, and at one point he dies, and you need to make sure that he has children with another influential family, so that the dynasty can live on. So yeah, I find the whole, and this me just being a nerd and just brainstorming, but I find the whole potential of that ERC 3664 token standard quite remarkable. And therefore I'm super curious about Cradles.
That sounds like a blend between The Sims, Age of Empires, and Tinder.
Well, maybe not not far from the truth.
But yeah, definitely super interesting. Like we are going to see probably a couple of standards that are going to be applicable to game NFTs, especially taking into consideration interoperability and all these properties that we are talking about. But well, I will take a look. Cradle, right?
Yeah, Cradles. I will cradles.io. And now I'm just guessing. Hold on. No. Cradles. Yeah, cradles.io.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, so any other question? Shout or you want to get answered?
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Exactly. That's what what I was trying to say. Cool. Cool. So I guess that's it. Any closing thoughts, Rob?
No, yeah. Like I said before, follow the money. It's the way I look at blockchain gaming. I see billions of dollars flowing into the development of the foundations of what blockchain gaming will become, infrastructure, onboarding mechanisms, etc. I'm super bullish on blockchain gaming. I'm not saying every video game in the world will become a blockchain game. That's ridiculous. There's a space for free to play, for simple, standard, full-fledged video games, and for play to earn or play and earn or whatever you want to call it. So one doesn't rule out the other, but I see play to earn gaming becoming a standard household name on in the coming 3-4 years. Like that's
super.
Yeah, that's. I'm quite confident about that, to be honest.
You call it.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's interesting, and it's of course deserves a whole different conversation. But how we are going to migrate from play to earn, where we are seeing right now, to play and earn. But also the metaverse will keep its play to earn roles, because they are going to become more like jobs, people that literally earn their life playing video games. But also we'll have people playing games just for entertainment, and they will be playing and earning, not playing to earn, which is very interesting in my perspective. But as I said, that's a whole different conversation. Thanks so much, Rob. Really nice talk. Very interesting to have you as always. And yeah, I want to also give a big thanks to all of our audience and our valuable community. Thanks for being active in our social media channels. And please don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter and follow DappRadar on YouTube, Twitter, and Discord. And that would be all. Have a lovely evening and have an amazing weekend. Thank you and bye-bye.
A nice weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.